Simone Ashley is saying goodbye to sex education and hello to Bridgerton. The 27-year-old actress, who got her big break on Netflix's Sex Education, announced on the British talk show This Morning that she won't be returning for the 4th season of the comedy drama series because she's now a, quote, Bridgerton girl.
Just quickly, will you be back for the 4th series of Sex Education?
No. No, I get asked that all the time. No, I mean, I'm a Bridgerton gal now.
Simone then went on to reveal that she will be returning to Bridgerton for the 3rd season, since, spoiler alert, her character, Kate Sharma, is now the Viscountess after she married Jonathan Bailey's character, Anthony Bridgerton.
So, Kate's return for the next series of Bridgerton, you're going to be returning?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
Definitely. I mean, she's kind of the head of the household now. She's the Viscountess and married to Anthony, and it's a year later at this point, so I'm really excited.
Access Hollywood caught up with Simone at the Queen's Ball, a Bridgerton experience in Los Angeles, and she opened up about how her life has changed since Bridgerton, her instant chemistry with her co-star Jonathan, and what we can expect out of her character next season.
Congratulations on the success of the 2nd season.
Thank you.
Literally just finished the last episode yesterday, so I'm like all caught up. So excited to talk to you. Yes. So tell me a little bit about how your life has changed since the season has come out. And obviously it's broken some records recently, so tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us as an ensemble have worked so hard on this show. The cast, the crew, Chris Van Dusen, it was like 11 months of us all together, and I'm just really proud of everyone, and I think we're also pleased with such a warm response, and we're just happy that everyone has enjoyed this love story as much as we have, bringing it to life. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Very grateful.
Yeah, oh good. I'm curious, like, when looking back before the season came out versus now that it's obviously out, what would you say is like the most significant kind of change or transformation in your personal life that you've like realized so far?
Just very excited, I guess. Yeah, just really excited. Very excited to see what happens in season 3.
Yes.
And just super proud of all of my co-stars, Johnny, Charithra, the whole cast of this show. Yeah, I think it is a show that's all about family, and that's how we feel about it when we lift each other up, and you know, it's a communal success, that's for sure.
Absolutely, I love to hear that. Let's talk about like fans. Obviously, it has a huge fan base. I'm curious, like, how frequently do you get recognized in public now? Like, do you have people just kind of running up to you and saying anything?
No, I don't. Yeah, I think, well, and people that do say hi are really lovely, and you know, especially the fans from the South Indian community. It's been so wonderful and really emotional, actually, to have such a lovely response from people. So yeah, we're just, as I said, we're just proud as an ensemble cast to have brought this love story to life, and this show that's all about family, and for people to feel the same way as we did when we were filming it.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the love story between Miss Sharma, Kate, and Anthony. When I want to talk about you and Jonathan, though, like, when was maybe the first moment that you realized that you guys actually had chemistry on set? Like, what did that look like?
It was from the get-go in our chemistry read, I would say. And we were at Uxbridge Studios, just coming out of the pandemic. So both of us were just kind of coming out of lockdown. And yeah, we just sat on a sofa, had Shondaland on Zoom, and you know, the camera on us, and we did a couple of scenes, and we just really clicked. And Johnny is an incredible actor. He's so generous, and it was just so easy to work with, so effortless. And yeah, I think we both had very parallel mindsets on what we wanted to give these characters and how we felt about them and their love story. So yeah, it was
How do you feel about the public's reaction to that love story? Because it was kind of a build-up over the season.
Yeah,
it wasn't like instant.
Yeah, we explored intimacy in more of a psychological way compared to the first season, I would say. And where that goes, moving on, we'll see. But yeah, it's a very push and pull dynamic between them two. It's a slow burn, and I think we're really invested in how dedicated they are to their families, and to seeing these two characters kind of surrender to that and surrender to each other and have the love that they deserve.
Let's talk a little bit about where that love goes, because you did mention season 3. Congratulations! I know we're going to see you and Johnny obviously back.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, like, you know, what you hope to see for Kate next season.
I think Kate spends a lot of her life kind of running away from herself, running away from her past, running away from having a sense of community, and running away from change. And I think she has known a life where she's put her sister and her mum first and has really thrived from protecting them, and it all comes from a place of love at the end of the day, but I think it's also a place to deflect from her own kind of confronting her own self.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see her kind of be brave, fill in the shoes of being the Viscountess of the household, having a family, having a baby, being married, and just growing. I think there's a lot of growth in the change of Kate and her letting go of her sister Edwina, for sure, and seeing her as a strong, independent woman that's on her own path and seeing that for herself. So yeah, I'm really excited to see her fly in that sense.
Yes, yeah. I love it. I'm sure the rest of the fans are too. It's like, I mean, again, the build up really like kind of made it such a sweet thing to see at the end. So I'm curious to like see how it's gonna.
Me too.
Grow from there.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your acting. So I'm curious, how early on in your life, I guess maybe an age or a specific moment, did you realize like, okay, this is what I want to do with my life?
I always was really drawn to singing and to music. So I sang quite a lot when I was younger, and then I fell in love with musical theatre and studied a lot of musicals, kind of explored that world for a long time. And yeah, I was never really academic. I don't think I am still. I might not be the best articulated, but I know what a feeling is, and I find it's such a joy to express that and to relate to characters and to tell a story. So yeah, it was what I always wanted to do. So yeah, I might not be the smartest, headstrong in that sense, but I think I'm good in creative things. So I just wanted to follow that. Yeah.
Yes, that's fantastic. Well, I'm curious, kind of going off of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your family was a little hesitant about you becoming an actress. Is that right?
No, I don't know where that's come from, but no, they've always been so supportive, very grateful, and yeah, they're just a very wonderful, supportive family to me. So yeah, very grateful.
Fantastic. Well, what's their reaction now that they've actually seen you on this massive, massive show?
Yeah, they're very proud. They're always rooting for me, and you know, I'm just very grateful to have such a supportive family.
Yeah, and how big of a fan were you of the show before, or the books even, before actually getting this role? So
I heard of the books and the show as I was auditioning. I mean, obviously when season 1 came out, it was everywhere and everyone was talking about it. So I definitely knew what it was, and seeing Phoebe's face everywhere and Reggae's face everywhere, of course, I knew what Bridgerton was. And then when I started reading for the part and meeting with Johnny, that's when I gave it a read, gave it a watch, and kind of got to know what this world was all about.
Tell me a little bit about the audition process. What did that look like? How nervous were you?
It was actually perfect in the sense it was very quick. I was filming on another project at the time, so I was quite out of my head. I sent a few self-tapes, had a few Zoom meetings, and then met with Johnny, and then I think it was like by day 14, I got the call. So it was great in the sense I couldn't overthink anything. I was very out of my head, and I felt like I really clicked with the character of Kate and kind of really rooted for her and empathised with her. I think there's sides to her that are quite flawed that I think some people might judge, but I for one empathised with her and knew that she's a character who really has a big heart and just wanted to protect her sister and her family, and thinks that she's doing the right thing when actually it's a story about her being truthful with herself and surrendering to the thought of love. So,
yeah, absolutely. That's something I could relate to too. I
Yeah.
could also relate to being like the older sibling, kind
Yeah.
of having to be the golden child and really take care of the younger one. Like I could totally relate.
Well, that's what it's all about. We're creating a world, no matter when it's set, where it's set, who these characters are. It's all about relating to one another, and it's a feeling at the end of the day.
Sure.
So I'm happy to hear that.
I love the escape, by the way. Just like it literally took me out of reality.
Yeah.
Let's talk. You mentioned getting the call.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you first heard that you got this part?
I think it was a slow penny drop for me. I knew how big the show was. I think I just adored the character of Kate and Chris Van Dusen's writing and his ideas and working with Johnny and Charithra, and I was just so excited to bring that side of it to life and to sink my teeth into it all. So yeah, and I remember when we were filming, Johnny would come up to me and be like, "How are you feeling?" And I didn't really understand it until towards the end, what this show was. So yeah, that's how I felt.
Let's talk about the first, I guess, moment that we see Anthony and Kate really kind of feel something, the B scene.
Yeah.
Tell me, I guess, why do you think this scene is such a turning point for these characters?
I think, so when we see Kate and Anthony on their own together, something always happens. I think they're able to be as present as they can be, because when they're not, they're invested in their duties and their responsibilities. They're very distracted. There's a lot of pressure on them. They don't usually take a minute to just be with themselves and to be in the moment. And I feel like whenever Kate and Anthony are on their own, that's what happens. And they kind of scratch beneath the surface a bit deeper and deeper. So it is a pivot, that episode, especially the scene between Kate and Edwina. Edwina's really trying to find a way to get him to propose to her, to get what she wants, to what her heart desires. And we see her become emotional about it, and she's frustrated and she feels vulnerable, and I think that's a pivot, because she's like, I'm going to take the reins on this now, because Kate's plan is obviously not working. And we see Edwina's growth, and then when we find Kate and Anthony on their own together, I think it's the first time that she sees a very vulnerable side to Anthony that kind of explains a lot of his behaviour, and the audience sees that as well. And I remember being on the phone to Tom Verica, who directed this scene, and I was like, well, Kate's a rider, she spent a lot of time with animals and on horses. I think there's something about her that I can't quite put into words, but she has a heart that can empathise and calm people down, calm a horse down. She's quite intuitive in that sense. And I compared that to this scene when Anthony's having his panic attack and he's really overcome by, you know, this trauma that he's kind of reliving, and I feel like Kate was the only one that can kind of, you know, again, pull the reins, calm him down, tame him a little bit, and I think both of them have never met anyone that's able to do that and not just leave. They're like, I've got you, and they have that patience for one another, and they see beneath all of that. So, yeah.
Now that you put it that way, I'm like, oh, I see the connection, especially with like animals. I'm like, oh, I never noticed. Like, it's so, because it's just like written so seamlessly, and you see it, so it's like so natural that when you say it out loud, I'm like, oh, okay. And
it's interesting. I read somewhere, I think someone wrote a fantastic dissertation on this, and it really resonated with me about the bee. These two characters are so distracted in their responsibilities and duties that life just goes by. And then it took something as small as a bee, a tiny little insect, to kind of make them stop in their tracks and listen and see what's happening in front of them. And then, yeah, things change. And then it kind of has this domino effect. So really I thought that was really interesting.
Yes.
And well done to Julia Quinn for writing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. For you and Jonathan, did you have to like approach that scene differently from your other scenes just because it's so like pivotal? Did you kind of realize any kind of different approach when you were coming to it?
Johnny and I worked separately with our own craft and our process with our characters, and then we kind of would come to set and just react with each other and be within the moment and share ideas and see what works, what didn't work. I mean, for me, it was kind of a shift of Kate being very defensive for her sister, quite annoyed at Anthony at this point because he has hurt her little sister. She's being really protective, and then, you know, obviously it's kind of fight or flight mode when she sees him overcome with himself in this way. And she does adore him, and she always has. And I think sometimes when the stakes are raised that high, it takes a moment like that for someone to just surrender a bit more. And you see her soften and really, really look into his eyes and try to calm him down and give him love, I guess. So,
a bit of a breakthrough.
Yeah, yeah.
You're doing great, by the way.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.